Ispirazzjoni u Esperimenti ma' Angel Gallia.
Nilqakom għal programmi ieħor Ispirazzjoni u Esperimenti u l-mistidna tal-lum għandi ammirazzjoni kbira lejha Lorinda Mamo, grazzi tal-li lqajt l-istedina. Lorinda hija minn Toronto u ħankolna naqra code switching bejn l-Ingliż u l-Malti ħalli tkun komda u xvera.
Thank you.
Thanks for finding the time. I know you're very, 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 very busy. So thank you for you sharing your story with us, your journey so far.
Thank you for having me.
No problem, our pleasure. So Lorinda hija creative and maker. Li oġbitni how you describe joy in crafting things to bring happiness for both yourself and the world. So which media do you use? How do you strive to bring that?
I didn't get the question.
How do you strive to bring the happiness to
yes.
the world and, you know?
So I really, creativity for me is not just about sort of arts and crafts. It's what it does and how it makes us feel. And there's a lot behind creativity in the sense of when we are creative, it also helps with problem solving. So I feel like when you exercise creativity, doing arts and crafts or anything related to the arts, whether it be dance or painting or sculpting, it exercises our brain in a creative way and helps us with problem solving. At the same time, it makes us happy. It releases endorphins, dopamine, and it really gives us a sense of calm and helps us, I feel, fulfillment, satisfaction. And I feel it has helped me so much over the years, and it was the biggest reason why I wanted so much to share with others.
Akku, infatti Lorinda tissemmilna kif meta toħloq bil-crafts u l-arti, inti qed tkun qed teżerċita il-problem solving fejn inti solvi problemi ma jkun qed jagħtik ċertu ena, paċi, sodisfazzjon u dik xtaqet taqsama mal-udjenzi tagħna. So is there a particular medium you prefer, you tend to lean towards or anything, whatever inspires you at the moment?
I really like trying new things. I will, for example, practice, for example, more. I love sewing because I've been doing it for such a long time. But then I explore different ways how to use the skill.
How cool.
So I like combining skills. For example, a project that involves more than one thing. Like, for example, one recently I did a very random, a painting, but then I made a little clay sculpture as like a 3D effect. So even though it wasn't my usual, it was really fun to explore and experiment.
Yes. So bħala kreattiva tipprova tuża media differenti u toħloq moti oħra, per eżempju tħobb tħid kif ħatuża dak li diġà ilha tagħmel għal ħafna snin. So that is brilliant, and it's nice to see a creative doing it full time.
Yes.
As their means of being.
Yes.
And that is something that I'd like to push through these programs, that you can survive as a creative, as a maker.
Absolutely.
And you are prime example in Malta for sure of how it can be done.
Yes.
And it can be your life.
Yes.
Those who follow you on social media can testify. In 2008, you did a web design course, and you started doing these small. Because I want to give them a framework of how you became. Because you don't just happen.
Wake up.
You don't just become a creative. There is a system to this madness.
Yes.
So in 2008, you did this type of course, and you did it as also at a time where small websites were developing. There was a demand for this. And by 2009, you opened Thinkbox Malta as your client base grew. So again, you're not only a creative, you're also an entrepreneurial. So would you like to tell us about that?
From a very, very young age, I was always creative, but in the time where I was growing up, it was more encouraged as a hobby rather than a career.
Yes.
But I was always kind of leaning towards how I can make creativity feasible and some in a way where I would benefit financially. And so when I saw that the websites kind of were booming and I had this creative energy, it really came at a right time. And so I went in for that, and I learned to do the web design. And it really kicked off from there, because it's true, it's hard to make a living as a creative, because as naturally creatives are creative. But then the financial aspect is kind of
another skill.
It's another skill that it comes with time. I've learned a lot about business side of things. I'm not there yet, because
your forte is
yes,
creative.
Exactly.
But you did read the market.
Yes.
You saw the need, and you saw your niche.
Yes. And at the time, I saw that was something that I could be creative and apply into the needs of people.
How good. Li qed tissemmi Lorinda, ġifieri fi żmien fejn fl-2008 rat li tista' tkun kreattiva għax inti titissib modi kif tgħix bħala artista kreattiva. U kien hemm il-bżonn, u kien hemm infetħet il-bżonn tal-websites żgħar, u jagħmlet kors, u infatti anke bdiet Thinkbox Malta. For a second it just went away. So you started opening up. By 2010, then you were branding and doing company designs for company. So you kept you didn't say, oh, this is it then.
No,
you kept growing. You kept thinking.
The client base changed, so
you kept reading.
So we had to adapt to that, because what happened was we had already become associated with only creating websites, because that was the need at the time. But in such a short time, people started, then when you do a brand and you do a website, they say, oh, but can you do a business card, and can you do a flyer, and can you do a brochure? So we needed to open up, and the only way to do that at the time, we were really struggling, was to totally rebrand. So we had to change our brand. Yes,
it takes a leap of faith, but you know, because you are very receptive in what is needed.
Yeah.
And that is how you survive. That's how you're sustainable. Yes. How you sustain yourself. I'm really amazed by how you do, how the processing happens in your brain. Meta fl-2010 bdew jaraw li il-fama tagħhom hija li jikkreaw il-websites, indunat li jridu iżjed il-klijenti, mhux website biss, imma jridu naf business card, eċetera, eċetera, ġifieri jiddiżinjaw l-affarijiet l-oħra. Allura kellha tieħu pass ieħor oltre terġa' tibda mill-bidu u format kumpanija oħra fejn il-klijenti jistgħu jindunaw li mhux website biss toffri, and that is the creative process where you're always reinventing yourself all the time, and that is your forte, because you're creative. So it goes back to
exactly
to your strength, and that is important to know who you are. When you're not immersed in creative projects, you cherish your moments with your family, as one should, and your friends. And your journey took a huge challenging turn in 2013 when complications arose during your pregnancy with your son Henry and your personal battle with breast cancer. You were very courageous in supporting others with bringing your truths, what you're going through. How was that? How has that formed you now? Because, as we said, you keep changing, and this was a huge change.
Very. It changed me completely. I realized how volatile and how fragile we are.
Exactly.
Because both me and my son were in very bad, in a very bad situation. And it helped me realize how important it is for us to do the things that we really want to do and the things that make us feel good. It's not just about finances, because by that time I had basically hit rock bottom completely in all areas of our life.
Of course.
And then it was, okay, so I need to take care of my mental health. I need to take care of my physical health. I need to take care of my son's health, who was born medically complex. And at the same time, everything around was crumbling. So then we lost the advertising, the creative advertising agency. Financially, it was just the pits, you know.
Yes. Life happens, huh?
Yes. And you know, there was a moment when I said, okay, I was very angry, obviously, as naturally you would be, very
of course.
angry and
Of course.
not accepting. And I said, you know, the only thing that this anger is doing is it's my son is feeding, my family is feeding. And I realized that the more angry I was, the more anger I was going to draw in. And it was like that defining moment where I said, okay, it needs to stop. I have to try and take all of this negativity and turn it into something positive. And then it started, you know, your mindset changes completely. And it's something very amazing, because once you change that switch, you start seeing things very differly.
You see the possibilities.
Yes,
because
the perspective.
You made the decision.
Yes.
You can take things. It's how you decide to take things that are happening to you.
Yes.
Life happens.
Yes.
Things happen.
Of course.
What we aspire to do may change, because life is so fragile, as you said. And we're very lucky that you took that decision, because look at all the things that you've achieved because of that defining moment.
Yes.
Għawek Lorinda qed tgħidilna dwar il-mument fejn fl-2013 ikella il-kanċer fis-sider u t-tifel taħa twieled medically complex fejn inti trid issib is-saħħa biex tara kif ħatkampa. Ir-rabja sintendi ħatkun naturali fik, hija xi ħaġa li ntejt pereżempju għaliex ġrat lili dik hija naturali ħafna, imma ndunat li dik ir-rabja ħatkompli ġib aktar rabja, allura b'mod kreattiv, bħala kreattiva li rat kif tħares li il-ħajja b'mod ieħor. U naħseb dak l-aspett li inti ddawwar il-lenti u tgħid ħanara mod ieħor, dik id-deċiżjoni ħassalva lilek u ta' madwarek. And I think that positive energy, that decisive moment where you said, no, I am going to I think you reveled in it. You came out even stronger.
You know, if it's weird, but in all my life, through the hardest of days, I had never been as happy as I was then. So if that
it makes sense. It does make sense.
Because I let go of
reserves that you might have had.
And I said, you know, okay, this is the situation. I need to make peace with it. I'm allowed to be sad. I'm allowed to be angry. But there is the flip side.
Exactly.
And if I give in to the anger and the sadness, it's just going to draw me down.
And consume you.
And consume me and everyone around me.
Exactly.
And I think that the need and the love that I have and for my family, it overcame, you know, that wanting to...
You know? I think it's a very mature moment, and it helps to see you strive. But it also helps our audiences see the struggle, all that it took, but that it is possible to change a situation, and it betters you as a person. And in fact, now there's the blog, social media platforms. I really would like you to tell us all about A Bird with a French Fry. You have so many followers. I'm one of them. And I'd like you to show us how the positivity and gratitude and, you know, this outlook has served you as a creative and has enriched so many of us.
So when I found out I was pregnant, I started writing this blog, and then I found out that there were complications, and I kind of took a step back because obviously there was nothing really.
You find your feet.
Yes, I wasn't in the frame of mind. I always liked writing. It's not something another creative thing I like to do. So I love writing. And one day I just sat and I started writing my story and things that were happening. And I remember sitting there and saying, well, should I publish this? You know, it doesn't matter who's going to read it anyway. And
who knew?
Who knew? The second I hit that publish button, the messages just poured in because people were going through things.
Exactly.
but unable to find the words to share,
Yeah.
feeling alone, not knowing what to do. And I realized more so that out of, all of this darkness and heartache, there was so much good that could be done with a voice.
Yeah.
Because all I was doing was writing with my voice.
Yes, but what a voice. And others may not be as blessed to have that voice, but they can resonate with you. You gave them that safety for them to find their crowd.
Yes.
And I think that's a blessing.
Yes.
And the strength, you know. Fejn kienet, meta nqabdet ila kienet tikteb blog fejn ġifiri tkun qed tikteb isu djarju online u n-nies isegwuk, meta sabet daw l-aħbarijiet xejn sbieħ isa waqfet għal-moment u rriflettiet palma jagħmel kulħadd sintendi. Imma mbagħad peress li jitħobb tant il-kitba xtaqet li anka tiftaħ u titkellem dwar l-istorja tagħha minn għalija mu ħajaqra ħadd. Imma sadattant dew deħlin il-messaġġi tan-nies li għaddejjin minn affarijiet problemi oħra. U inti meta ssib li m'intix waħdek u tenduna li hemm ħadd ieħor qed iġarrab bħalek jew simili, ma tħossokx li qed edha tgħaddi minn dal-passaġġ waħdek. Issib is-saħħa. And there's a lot to gain from finding your crowd.
Yes. And it was beneficial for me.
Of course.
Because it was very therapeutic to write and express myself. And double because I knew that others were benefiting. So
it's so rewarding.
Ħafna.
To know that you're giving something back and people are benefiting from your pain. You're sharing it.
Yes, but it's like it lessens almost the pain.
Yes.
In some way.
I feel there's not enough opportunity in our society to talk about the pain in a positive way.
Yes.
In a positive
pain exists. It's inevitable and we all go through it.
That's life.
Some people talk about it, some people don't. It doesn't mean it's not there.
Exactly. But looking at it through positivity, gratitude, that is a gem because it's rarely found. And it is important.
Of course, because it is part of the healing as well.
Yes, and the growing.
And the growing. If you're, stuck in the negativity and your outlook is negative, it doesn't help the healing. At all.
So that is an important lesson for our listeners. Fejn, meta inti taqsam l-uġġieħ li tkun għaddej minnu, sintendi, l-uġġieħ kulħadd iħossu b'mod u b'mod ieħor. Imma li inti taraħ li huwa qed jgħinek tikber, li titkellem dwaru qed jgħinek tfiq, li affarijiet pożittivi li bdiet tħossija li hija qed tgħin il-ħadd ieħor jgħaddi mill-uġġieħ tiegħu għax qed titkellem dwar tagħha u tgħin lilha nnifisha proprju għax qed titkellem. So inspired by all this, you've been since 2018, between 2018 and 2020, you were conducting studio workshops. So in the meantime, with a shop in itself selling products for Bell and Bow, and as well as on Bird with a French fry, plus creative workshops for adults, camp for children at the studio workshop at local cafes, and then COVID hit.
Yes.
How did that? I mean, just so much so that it's not ever boring.
No.
Just what happened there?
I had just started finding my feet. Literally, we had been over the years traveling back and forth to the UK for my son's treatment and medical care. So it had been all of those years back and forth. I remember the product of A Bird with a French fry started because we had his kidney transplant had been postponed, and I found myself in another country, not in our home, but we were just sort of hanging around, waiting.
And you're creative.
Exactly.
You have to be doing.
Yes. So, I looked up to try and do something where I could easily carry with me, and I started making pom-poms. And it developed into this whole collection of pom-pom accessories.
Cute.
But yes, it was really fun and it was really good. And so when we came back to Malta and I had this workshop studio. I started continuing the products there, and I was working on these bows as well with a friend of mine. And then when COVID hit, I had to basically close up because we couldn't be anywhere near people, obviously, because
of course,
everyone knows why.
Of course.
And I was sort of at a standstill again. In a way.
Yeah.
Because at the time, so they kind of overlapped, because I had started to close off the products of A Bird with a French Fry because I realized there was no longer a market for them. And as hard as it was, I said, you know what? It is what it is, and I need to kind of make amends and say, all right, that's a closed chapter, and we will stop those products, move those on. So at the same time, I had started researching and working on my newest and still current brand, Happy Play Company. And the initial product for Happy Play was something completely different. And then when COVID hit, I had to put that on the back burner as well. And I had been working on and testing Play-Doh, so eco-friendly Play-Doh. And I gave it to some friends and told them to test it out. And then eventually the Play-Doh really took over, especially during COVID.
Of course, because you need to do things with your children.
Exactly. And that's how sort of that spiked. But Play-Doh, because you're saying kind of, so where does Play-Doh come from, and this whole thing of Happy Play? Over the years, with Henry in and out of hospital, the importance of play was, I already had an idea, and I already had like this real passion for the importance of play and how it's important for us to play and to be creative, adults and kids.
Exactly.
Because we kind of say, okay, because I'm grown up and I don't play anymore. But creativity is play. When you're playful, you're
Yes, that's how creativity is experimenting.
Exactly.
And we're doing that anyway.
So I witnessed how he developed through play therapy, and how it was so nice to communicate through play in these difficult moments, dealing with very difficult subjects.
Of course.
So I thought, you know what? I think that other parents would benefit from even just communicating in general.
Yeah.
And how do we communicate with ourselves, with children? When we find it difficult, we play.
Exactly.
And it keeps everyone happy.
And safe.
And safe.
Yes. Because you're creating this framework for everyone to be, it's okay to play.
Yes.
Yes. Li tejt Lorinda, peress li kienu tilajnu nizlin Henry minħabba terapiji li kellu bżon u kienet diġa taf imma rat l-importanza tal-lob fejn it-tfal jilabu anka l-kbar, aħna l-ewwel nies m'għandniex ninsew nilabu għaliex hija xi ħaġa li tgħinna u hi għarfet I think it's a skill that you've been all your life, you know, going back and checking, is this product still valid? Is what I'm doing still valid? So, xi ħaġa li diġà kienet rawmet fiha nifisha li taqra il-bżonnijiet ta' madwara u il-nies li qegħdin jixtru l-prodotti tagħha. Imma għarfet li fis-sitwazzjonijiet diffiċli it-terapija mal-lob kemm kienet qed tgħin lill-familja, lit-tifel u lilha u l-kulħadd. Allura, għarfet li anka nies oħra, familji oħra, ħajjibbenefikaw. I think that's so clever. When you see yourself, you read your situation, and then you see how you can develop it for yourself, for your sustainability, but to benefit others.
Yes.
It's a nice balance that you found, I think. And, you know, I want to congratulate you for it.
Thank you.
So you're a dedicated mother, you know, navigating through hospital visits, and Happy Play has really brought together with a nice bow on top all of the above. So 2022, you've moved to your new studio. Yes. You restarted, thank goodness, the creative workshops for adults. It's nice to be back, right?
Yes, very much.
I mean, post-pandemic, it's been nice to rediscover yourself
Yes.
and appreciate. You also took over a cafe, a bar alongside your venue for these workshops. So you've always been, bringing together entrepreneurship, which is needed, with creativity. Next steps, where you're at the moment, where you want to be.
I'm working on continuing to grow Happy Play. I have so many things that I want to do with the brand as well, and to continue to develop it and to grow it. It's a little bit of stopping and starting because health and the hospital takes priority.
Of course.
But I realize that when things are good and stable, we continue.
And you grow.
And you grow.
Thank goodness. Yes.
In every way possible. So it's nice to, at first we were getting, so when are you opening? When's the launch? And this, and I'm like, I'm open. I don't need a big launch.
I
don't need a big, opening day, because I'm there. I'm doing things gradually.
Yes.
I feel like, we need to accept organic growth.
Thank you. Yes.
Instead of,
big market plans.
Big market plans, because
targets.
it's out of... Sometimes it's setting yourself up for failure, and it can feel out of reach, or the expectations are way too high. And I feel like sometimes I want to do something, but then you realize along the way that it's not so right. So you still, without those major expectations, you still have time to grow,
reevaluate,
slowly
and change.
And I think as humans,
that should be the way forward.
Yes.
I think a big mess has been done to our planet because they didn't heed that advice.
Yes.
Maybe we should.
Maybe
you should become the president of the world. I'm joking, but there's a lot of truth and wisdom in what you're saying. You as a businesswoman, you have to understand how you can possibly keep growing.
Yeah.
So for you, it's possible in an organic way, in a way that gives you space to reevaluate your situation, if not daily, weekly, because that is how it is. And I appreciate that, and I think it's very inspirational. It's a good model. It gives you space to grow, and it gives you space to breathe.
Yes.
I think that's the best combination ever.
You have to, because
for your well-being.
Exactly.
Yes. So Lorinda qed issemmi li reġgħet fetħet anke dawn il-workshops, il-kumpanija tagħha issa qed tkompli tiftaħ, aħna nistgħu nsegwa fuq il-medja soċjali Lorinda Mamo. So nkunu nistgħu anke naraw kif tikber b'mod organiku, mhux bil-forsi trid ikollok market plan jew targets li bil-forsi tilħaq, għaliex jista' jkun li dawk stess jgħajjuk u jerruk u ma tlaħħaqx max-xogħol tiegħu. Naħseb li tkellmet b'mod vera għaref kif artista, kreattiva li għaddejja mill-ħajja bħal ma jkun għaddej kulħadd tista' tkompli issostni lilha nnifisha u l-familja tagħha. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The program just flew by as per usual, but someone so inspirational, it keeps flying even faster.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lorinda Mamo, u aħna konnet nitkellmu fuq Happy Play Co. So can they find that on?
Yes, Happy Play Co. Or my personal page is A Bird with a French Fry.
Xorta waħda.
Yes.
So Happy Play Co. Your Bird with a French Fry. Grazzi immens tal-li sibt il-ħin biex tkun hawn magħna u grazzi lilkom eżitt semmija tal-li segwejtu Ispirazzjoni u Esperimenti. Islim.
Ispirazzjoni u Esperimenti ma' Angel Gallia.